Hi. Programmable networks, the operators giving the control to the developers. I've never seen that before. Crikey. What an innovation. So I've got a lovely panel now, and I'd like to, on scaling Open Gateway for developer success through cloud platforms. So I'd like to invite to the stage Ricardo Villarreal, Product Manager for Azure Programmable Connectivity at Microsoft. And also Mijo Soldin, Vice President, Operator Partnerships and Strategy, Infobip. Hi, Ricardo. How you going?
Good, and you?
Hey, how you going, mate? Okay, we're doing this standing up. So, do you want to do this?
Following your lead.
Following my lead, let's sit down. Come on. We've got a little bit of time, so we can take the weight off our legs. Channel partners, this is all about scaling and how we actually scale. Both Microsoft and Infobip were instrumental in the market launches within Brazil and Spain. So, Ricardo, can you tell us a bit more about how Microsoft is delivering value for developers through the GSMA Open Gateway initiative?
Yeah, we are big supporters of standardization. As such, we are big supporters of Open Gateway. We participate actively. We sit in the governing board of Camara. We only consume, so we are pushing standardization in that sense. We only consume in our platform Camara compliant APIs. What we believe is that an API is going to be way more powerful if it is the same API, right? If one API is available only by one operator, loses power. So it's in the benefit of everyone. And as such, that's how we are pushing for this standardization. We only consume it like that.
Yeah. And Mijo, yourself at Infobip, are you taking the same approach? Are you with Ricardo on his need for standardization?
Absolutely, yes. We are in this gateway game, I would say. Camara is, how to say, is bringing a lot of good stuff, and probably the key moment for the gateways. We are in the gateway world together with GSMA for the last 4 years, and me personally broke the teeth on many attempts where there was no standardization and there was no coverage. So what we learned is like there's, three main components. One, as Ricardo is saying, standardization. One is we need all players in the country to play for it. So we did many projects where there was like 2 out of 3, 1 out of 3, it just doesn't fly. And the third one is then that their APIs should be that market actually needs it. So if we, from the technology side, are pushing something and there's no need, or the CX is broke or something like this, again, it doesn't work. So Camara is bringing something good. I think it's good that we are sitting as a kind of two different aggregators, two different approaches to the ecosystem, but we are all bringing something new to enrich the whole story.
Thank you. Ricardo, where do you see the scale coming from? We're talking about these channel partners actually bringing a level of scale, but how do you envisage that scale is going to be enabled? Where do you see it coming from?
So we believe the developers, they have to learn to use the network APIs. They need to feel comfortable with them. A year ago still, when we were talking to many developers, the big majority of them, they didn't know what a network API was. And that's changed, but it needs to change more. We need a lot of evangelization. So we believe right now, and that's been mentioned before, also in other panels, right now anti-fraud is very powerful. And one of the reasons is because everybody is already preventing fraud. So there are tools already in place to prevent fraud, and they need it. All we are doing is providing better tools to do the same things. So if we provide these tools to a need that is already there, they're going to learn to use the network APIs. They're going to learn to use our platforms where they can connect to multiple operators, to multiple networks through one interface. And once we have done that, then we can introduce so much more network capabilities, right? And then, okay, now you know how to use network APIs. Let me tell you about quality on demand. Let me tell you about how to monitor this, your devices. So many other things. Let me tell you about location. So many other things they can do.
Yeah, and how do Infobip see the world of scale? Are you going to follow down the anti-fraud, or are there other vertical segments that you'll look at?
Yeah, I was listening carefully all the previous speakers. So anti-fraud area, that's kind of obvious. And I think this is just a start. And as Ricardo said, like, okay, we already had this fraud tools, it'll be seamless, it'll be available everywhere and stuff, standardized. I think a lot of cool new stuff is coming that we are not aware. So, however, all us together are smart in the room, I'm sure like the killer app or the killer use case will come from some developer somewhere in the world, which, as Ricardo said, when this becomes easy, comfortable and stuff, then the new ideas were starting. So we kind of get into this from the market need. So Infobip platform is touched by 2/3 of the mobile phone in the world, which means all variety of use cases. And when we show the developer world what network capabilities are, then the new ideas will start coming. Then we'll say like, okay, I can use it here and there and there. So it's the only way when we will speed up the innovation.
Yeah, and moving on to sort of, we talked a little bit about the scale there, and that scale is bringing to a level what we say in the telecommunications industry is an aggregation point. And sometimes it's considered to be a bit of a wholesale, blunt statement. How would you describe yourself, Ricardo, from Azure? What would you like to be known as out there?
So we don't mind the aggregator term that is being used as long as it is understood. Actually, maybe we are an aggregator a la carte, a flexible aggregator. We are following a marketplace approach where you don't have to pick all of the operators, for example, in a market. You can select which operators you wanna select in a sort of a marketplace approach. They can even differentiate their offerings with different prices. The API should be the same, the API should be standardized, but the commercial offer can be different. So I guess what is important is that it's understood what we are doing, what we are providing. In our case, what we provide is two things. We unify and we abstract. We unify because it's only one interface the developer needs to use to access multiple networks, APIs from multiple networks. So that's the unification. And the abstraction is everything is in an Azure experience. The way our services are accessed is through the Azure portal. You go to the Azure portal and then you have only an Azure experience and you do all of that. So the term really doesn't matter as long as it's understood what we do.
Yeah, very sensible, I think. And for Infobip as well, I mean, I believe you do a little bit more than just pure aggregation in that sense. You sort of mash up services, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. So our vision is to be platform of platforms. And as Ricardo said, as long as it's understood what aggregation means, I think the aggregation in terms of API is just the smallest part of the whole story. And aggregation is super important. I was the one saying, like, if there's no whole network coverage, there's nothing there. But there's the whole backend system of the platforms, and we know APIs. And what's else is important there, just, it won't work just by itself. And so that's one thing. Second, like, if your customers will be platforms who are doing their own business, like either market automation or anything like this, they are far from telco. They are far from all this stuff. So like, part of aggregation needs to be a little bit of education, a little bit of like approaching to their business processes. And I'm calling it bundle, but not a bundle in the aggregation wholesale world. It's like, okay, let's complement a couple of APIs into maybe a workflow that will bring higher value to our customer or our customer's customer. So in that type of aggregation, yes.
Fantastic. And I think we've talked about the concept of channel partners just now, and how you're actually bringing the operators together, and there's the marketplace and there's a reseller type activity there. But how you're really going to have the relationship with the developer at the end of the day. And the operators are doing significant changes through their networks to expose these APIs. How do you see, how do you translate to the developer the capabilities there? How do you see it, Ricardo? There's a marketplace that you're creating, but how does the developer understand what it does, and how do you educate them in that sense?
So there is a lot of evangelization that has to happen, just like Mijo just mentioned right now. So there is a lot of education. Like I mentioned a year ago, they didn't even know what network programmability meant, right? And now everybody's talking about network programmability. So there is a lot of evangelization. But in the end, it is the experience of the developer what matters, especially I'm in a team called Azure for operators, Azure.
Yeah.
So for us, giving the best experience to the Azure developer is paramount. And in that sense, we understand we are going to be one more channel. And if a developer wants to use, an Azure developer wants to use the Azure portal, which we believe makes sense, that's perfect. But if they feel more comfortable using another platform, that's also perfect. All I care is that the developer has the best experience, and that's why we all are collaborating in this.
And from Infobip's point of view, Mijo, how are you going to be talking to the developers and getting them attracted? What do you think of those few things that developers are going to say, I understand that and I want to go there?
Yeah, that's, there are different paths to different developers. And I think each one of us in the ecosystem will like work with certain segments. So from our side, Infobip acquired like 2 or 3 years ago, like the developers conference called Shift. And the reason for this was like exactly this, like come close, even before network APIs, just normal CPaaS or any API. Just, you know, we need these developers just to do a sanity check. Like, are something we are doing actually matters? Is it easy to use for them? Does it fit into their tools? Also, it's a two-way street. We want to hear what these guys need, what they expect from network. And we will use this Shift conference, which we now move from Europe also to US, and said like, okay, guys, there is some kind of network programmability. What do you think it is? How you will, you know, so like going back and forth, that's one. Second is marketplaces. We work with hyperscalers, including Microsoft here as well. So there's like, you know, different segments of developers, and each of them have different needs and maybe coming from, you know, different verticals and stuff. So I think we all need to like work closely with them and then bring everything back to Kamara, and at the end to the carriers, telco operators, give feedback and then work together to make another killer API.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We've come to the end of this panel. Please show your appreciation for Ricardo and Mijo.